States know how to do
something
it.
further. It is time that the United States government enforced and participated in fully the Non-Proliferation Treaty, which calls for the abolition of all nuclear weapons. We must lead the way, and we must have a president who understands the danger of these nuclear weapons, and have America lead the way among all nations towards nuclear abolition. When we do that, we will have the credibility to go to an Iran and any other nation that may have desires for nuclear power to say, look, we want to take it in a different direction. We are not going to stand by and watch our country lost because we are ratcheting up the rhetoric
keep the enemy away from us.
towards war against Iran. We have to
Vote for
stop
this
it.
man and you will have no
We have to
nukes.
stop ratcheting up the rhetoric for war. We really need to stop it.
Senator Clinton, elsewhere in the region, let's talk about
Total
Iraq. One
misunderstanding
of your military
global
advisors,
politics.
retired Lieutenant General
That's right, we don't need
Kennedy,
nuclear
while
weapons. We don't need
campaigning
military.
for you and
We're
your
not
nephew,
facing a dangerous time in the
was
country.
recently quoted saying, quote, "I don't oppose the war. I have never heard Senator Clinton say, I oppose the war," close quote. Senator Clinton, do you oppose the war in Iraq?
Absolutely, but I do not, and I don't think any of us do, oppose the brave young men and women who have fought this war with such distinction
Except
and
General Petraeus,
heroism.
which you said
You
you
know,
would
I
have to
have
hold
said repeatedly
his
that I
review
will
in
begin to
disbelief.
bring
And
our
you called him a
troops
liar.
home as soon as
General
I'm
Petraeus is
president,
not a
because it
true-
is abundantly clear that President Bush does
He's
not
not a soldier
intend
with
to
30
end
years
the
of
war
experience
while he is still
getting his
president. In order to
objective
do
view.
that, we're going to have to get the Joint
Bombings
Chiefs
in Iraq
and my
haven't gone down,
Secretary of
civilian
Defense
deaths hasn't
and
gone
advisors
down.
together to start the planning to
You
move as
said
quickly as
you would
possible.
have to hold in
because
disbelief
I don't believe that
if you were
the
to believe
planning
anything that he
has
said.
been
You pretty much called him a liar.
sufficiently in the Pentagon
Is
under
that you
this
supporting the
administration.
troops?
But we've got to do more. We have to try to get the Iraqi government to understand its obligations because there is no
How do
military
you support the troops?
solution.
You're trying to cut their funding?
And they have thus far failed
By trying
to
to
do
stop
so.
surges where they will
And
have more men on the
finally,
ground
we need to engage
to defend
in diplomacy
themselves?
with respect to
Is that what you
Iraq.
call supporting the troops?
We have a big diplomatic apparatus. This president doesn't use it. He relies on a very small group of people. I think that's a terrible mistake. In addition to the Foreign Service officers, I would bring in a lot of other distinguished Americans who have experience, people, you know, like my colleagues, Bill and Joe and Chris. We need a lot of Americans trying to fan out across the world following President Bush because he's going to lead so many problems. His policies have alienated our friends and emboldened our enemies.
If we
And
could
Iraq
only
and
talk to
Iran
them
are
for just
tinder
5 minutes and
boxes,
show
the
them the
Middle
error
East,
of their
Pakistan,
ways.
I agree with Joe.
Oh, how we
The
can convince
Afghanistan
them not to go to
situation,
war.
everywhere you
We
look
are
in the
so
world, we've
brilliant.
got work to do, and I think we've
So
got to do
convincing.
more than just send our young men and women out. That is not an appropriate use of their power.
Senator Obama was
What is
Senator
appropriate
Clinton's
use of their
answer
power
to
of the military if
opposition
not
with
to go out
the
there?
Iraq war question consistent in your view?
Well, I don't think it's consistent with the Iran resolution, for example, which specifically stated that we should structure our forces in Iraq with an eye towards blunting Iranian influence. It is
Genius,
yet
isn't
another
it?
rationale
We're already there. Might as well.
for what we're doing in Iraq, and I think that's a mistake. Now, I agree that we've got to focus on diplomacy. The president has to lead that diplomacy.
Diplomacy is a word,
Which is why I said
not an action
I
or a
would
strategy.
convene a meeting of Muslim leaders upon taking office, because I think we have to send a strong
Yes,
signal that
Muslim
we are
leaders
willing
like
to listen
Mustafa
and not
Zakawi.
just talk, and
Muslim
certainly not just
leaders.
dictate or engage in military action. But the
You know what,
real
Obama?
key for
Fuck
the
the
next
Muslim
president
leaders who are currently running in
is
Iraq.
someone who has the credibility
Fuck
of
the
not
president of
having
Iraq.
been
You
one
want to
of the
talk to the
co-authors
jihadists.
of this engagement.
Apparently the moderates in Iraq aren't
and
worth
I think
shit to
I'm
you.
in a
The fact
strong
that their
position to be
policemen
able to say
were dying,
I thought this was a
protecting
bad
their own
idea.
country
First,
means that
in
the
first
Iraqis
place,
are not picking up the
we now
slack
have
to
to
you.
fix it. We have to be as careful getting out as we were careless getting in. But we nevertheless have to take steps that are not only engaging Iraqis, the Shia, the Sunni, and the Kurds, but also engaging Iran, Syria, and other powers in the region.
Senator Edwards, same
Would you like
question.
to engage them like the
here's what I
Israelis
want.
engage
I
them?
want to make certain that voters in
want to know
Iowa,
that.
New Hampshire, and all across America, Democrats, Independents, understand that you have choices in this election. Very clear choices. If
I
you
can hear the
believe
baby
that
calling.
combat missions
I
should
can
be
hear the
continued
baby
in
calling,
Iraq
the
over the
baby
long
calling
term,
me.
if you
That
believe
baby
that
talking
combat
to
troops
me.
should
Isn't that
remain
right, John?
stationed
That baby's talking
in
to you.
Iraq,
Is
and
that
if
your
you
final
believe
argument in your court
there
case?
should be no actual
I can hear the
timetable
baby
for
calling.
withdrawal,
I can hear the
Senator
baby
Clinton, your
calling.
candidate.
Help me, Jesus.
I
I
don't.
can hear the baby
I think
calling.
that
Help
we
me,
need
Lord.
to
I
end
can hear the
combat
baby
missions.
calling.
We need to get combat troops out of Iraq. As President of the United States, I will do that. I think it's a requirement of leadership as President, and I will do it in my first year in office. Combat missions ended, combat troops out of Iraq, period.
Brilliant.
So it's a very clear choice
Well,
there
that solves the
between
problem.
the candidates.
If we're out of Iraq,
and the
then
second
Iraq
thing
is
that
no
I want
longer
to
a
be certain
problem.
that voters
See, if we
are aware
leave,
of, when we've had long
then,
discussions
there's no
about
problem.
Iran, and Barack just made the connection to Iran, and there is a very clear connection. Because we need to learn from the past. And what we've learned from the past is you cannot
John
trust
Edwards
this
just spit on
president.
her. She just wiped
And
her
what
face.
I worry about is if Bush invades Iran 6 months from now,
Yep.
I mean, are we going to hear, if only I'd known then what I know now. Well, we know enough now to know we
That's
have
right,
to
'cause
stand up
Hillary
to this
didn't read the
president.
K report.
And the second point I would
She would
make
have only
is,
read it.
I was surprised by Senator Clinton's vote.
Because
I'll be
I want to know
honest
what
about
this
that.
great thing
And then I
is.
saw
If
an
I only knew
explanation
then what I
in
know
the New York
now.
Times
So
for her vote,
what
which
exactly did you
basically said
miss?
She was
Have you ever
moving from
cited the
primary
intelligence
mode
that you missed
to general election mode.
that has now come to light?
I think that our
If I knew then what I know now, what do you
as
know now
presidential candidates
that is different
to
from
be in
before?
tell
Tell
the
me.
truth mode.
What do you
all
mean
the
that I
time.
just didn't read the
We
K
should
report?
not be
I
saying
don't believe the
something
K
different in
report, and if I would have read it,
than we say in
I
the
wouldn't have
general
believed it.
election. I think that's
What
what
is this
Americans
magic
have been hearing from
intelligence
George
that
Bush,
you
and I
don't
think
know
they're looking
now
for
that
something
if you would have
different,
known
and voters
now
have a choice.
what you knew then, that you wouldn't have voted for the war? What is this magic intelligence that you never mentioned?
Number one, when we talk about combat missions in Iraq, my understanding is that we had the same agreement, most of us on this stage, that we would bring out combat troops, but we would pursue a mission against Al-Qaeda in Iraq if they remained a
What do you
threat.
call
Now, I don't
those
know how you
troops
pursue
in Iraq if
Al-Qaeda
they're
without
pursuing
engaging them in
Al-Qaeda?
combat.
Exactly.
So I think we're having a semantic difference here. I think
How
we
is your
should
plan
get
different
as
than the
many
president's?
of the
The president's
combat
plan
troops out
is to
as
stay
quickly
there
as possible.
as much money as
If
possible,
we leave any
as much
troops in,
troops as
like
possible,
special
to
operations,
kill the enemy,
to go after
until the enemy
Al-Qaeda
is
in
dead.
Iraq, I
your
assume
plan
that we
is
don't
not
want
to
them
leave
just sitting
until
around
Al-Qaeda
and
is
watching
gone.
them. We want them to engage them. That is a very limited mission. That is what I
That's a
have
new
said
ticket.
consistently. And you know, when it comes to where I stand, I have been explaining that to the American people. I stand for
10
ending the
different
war
ways
in
to
Iraq,
Sunday.
bringing our troops home. But I also know it's going to be complicated and it's going to take time. And I intend to do it
Too
in a
complicated for you and the
responsible
American
manner
people.
that is as safe for our
Which
troops
means
as
no,
possible.
she's not gonna bring them
We're
back.
going to have troops remaining
Which is
there
different
guarding
than
our
the 10 other
embassy.
times she
We may
said.
have a continuing
Why
training
does the
mission,
Democratic Party
and we may
love
have a mission against
psychopaths?
Al-Qaeda in Iraq. So that's a very
They
big
despise-
difference than having the
they despise straight
160,000
shooters.
troops that George Bush has
John
there today.
Edwards,
Senator,
as
thank
fucked
you.
up as his ideas are,
Housekeeping note here. We have
you know,
built 2 or 3
he
rather
believes in what
short
he believes
breaks
in.
into tonight's program. This
Or so he
2-hour
claims.
debate
He's been
tonight.
hypocritical at times,
and we're
but he's
gonna
definitely
choose
more of
to
a straight
take the
shooter than
first
Hillary
of them
will ever
right
be.
now, mostly so everyone
Howard
should
Dean,
take a breath on this
as
hot
much as I
stage
disagreed
on
with
this
him,
otherwise
as
cool night
disrespectful
in
as he is,
Philadelphia. We will continue
compared
with
to
our
these people
debate
as a
from
straight
the
shooter.
campus
But
of
who do they
Drexel
have? John
University
Kerry.
in
I
Philadelphia
actually voted for
right
the
after
87
this.
billion before I fucked my rich wife to get my huge fortune.
The Democratic presidential candidates
voted
debate
against
is
it.
presented by Liberty Mutual. Responsibility. What's
Nothing
your
brought to you by
policy?
the
And by
Democratic Party
Verizon
and-
Wireless. At Verizon Wireless, your small business
Sponsored
is a
by
big deal
Liberty
to us.
or by Entity Mutual.
I don't understand what American people listen to. I think that they listen to this kind of music. This is gonna be next on MTV and VH1.